Um, so I'm going to hand you over now to Anise, who's from the Education Development Trust, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about T-levels this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Good evening, everyone. As already said, I'm Anise. I work for Education Development Trust, delivering the ASK programme, so all about promoting the awareness and uptakes of apprenticeships, traineeships and T-levels, and I'm going to be covering T-levels today. Whilst I share my screen, I won't be able to see the chat box. And I know at the moment you can't all unmute yourselves, but if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat box, or at the end, you can unmute yourselves and I'll be happy to answer them. I will just share my screen now. Hopefully you can see my screen. Just
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, brilliant. And hopefully, has that stayed as hopefully you
yeah,
can you
so
still see it?
We can just see the slides, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Thank you. So so first of all, starting with what T-levels are. So T-levels are a practical employer-led alternative to A-levels designed to get students work ready. T-levels work that 80% of the time is spent in the classroom or in specialist facilities, learning the theory and developing practical skills. And the other 20% of the time is spent on an industry placement with an employer putting this into action. So this is a key thing with the T-levels that makes them different to other qualifications that have come before. It is always necessary, and it's part of the qualification, that the student will get 20% of their time on an industry placement. So a school or a college or a training provider would deliver the course element of it, and then of course their industry placement would be done with an actual employer. Students would spend a minimum of 45 days or 315 hours on a meaningful industry placement. It's sometimes recorded in hours because there may be cases where a student isn't just doing it with one employer, they're doing it with more than one employer. It is unlikely to be paid, as of course it's part of their course of study, but there can be cases when support for travel and expenses can be available. In terms of how the time spent in the workplace is done, it varies. It can be carried out as day release, it can be done in a solid block or multiple smaller blocks, or a mixture of them, but it's all depending on what works for the school, the provider and the student, but it's always that 80-20 split. The T-level provider, so whether that's the school, the college or the training provider, are responsible for sourcing the industry placement. There may be some cases where the T-level provider encourages the student to do some research and self-source preferred employers, but they are responsible for that part of it and they would always be there to help. Again, another key difference with T-levels is T-levels are designed by employers to ensure that students are learning the skills employers are looking for. So over nearly 300 employers were involved in developing T-levels, from smaller local businesses to large multinationals like Amazon, Fujitsu, EDF Energy and so on. So the courses are very much made in mind with getting students ready for work, making sure that they are employable. Also, in a talk I actually attended about T-levels recently, something that the teacher that was talking about T-levels commented on is how modern the qualifications are. He gave the example of, for example, within A-levels computer science, they would still talk about floppy disk, but with T-levels, because they have just been created and they're very modern, that is another really big advantage of them as well. So with T levels, the student would be studying one T level subject. So it's not like A levels where you'd study 3. You'd study one T level, and that would be the equivalent to 3 A levels. It would still be a nationally recognized certificate. It would, in the same way that A levels, for example, would, or BTECs can give you UCAS points, T levels would still give you UCAS points. So students would be able to progress on to work if they wanted to. They could still progress onto university or even an apprenticeship, but that would be a nationally recognized certificate gaining them UCAS points. The certificate would show the overall grade achieved. So that would be pass, then merit, distinction, or distinction star. That is how it would be graded. If not already achieved, students can also work towards level 2 maths and English whilst doing their T levels, possibly, depending. Obviously, just like with any qualification, each provider would have their own entry requirements, but from the ones that I've seen, for example, I've seen local ones in, for example, Barnet and things like that. I know that they ask for 5 GCSEs, and from what I've seen, that tends to be the common requirement. With T levels, they are a recent thing, so they've been on rollout each year. More and more courses have come out, so starting in September 2020, and then the last few T levels are coming out in September 2023. I will touch on what they are. Like I say, when you complete a T level, progression can be onto university, it can be onto employment, it can be onto apprenticeships, so it would still leave the students' options open. I will go on to what kind of T levels you can do, but T levels can be particularly ideal. They're linked to a kind of industry, so they can be particularly ideal for a student that does know what they want to go on and do roughly in the future. But obviously, even if that's not the case, it would be a great qualification. It would still allow them to go to university, and they would get an industry placement as part of it. So it definitely wouldn't be a waste either way. So now on to the courses that are available. So you can see in September 2020, there was design, surveying, and planning for construction, digital production, design and development, education and childcare, and then so on and so forth. You can see that there was some more that came out in September 2021, September 2022, and then we've got the last rollout of T levels in September 2023. And rather than me just reading them out for you, I'll just give you a couple of seconds to just have a scan through. But you can see they are all linked to kind of industries as opposed to being a subject. With each of these subjects, there will be a core curriculum that the student will study. So that would cover the concepts, theories, and principles for the subject. And then at some point during the course, they will take a specialism. When this is will depend on which subject they do, and the number of specialism also varies depending on the level, but there'll always be the core curriculum and then specialism. So this is just now a short video that I'm going to play, which is just some students talking about the benefits of T levels. Hopefully, I think I shared sound, so hopefully you can hear it. Please do let me know. If not, and I'll try again.
It has made me realise what I want to do in the future, and it's kind of like a dream job that I never knew I wanted, and it really does help you see what the real world is like.
I can definitely say I'm more confident in my skills and abilities. I know to myself that I'm improving, but I want to keep on improving and keep on progressing.
Yeah, I would say definitely go for it because it's opened up so many opportunities. I've learned so much when I've been here that I never thought I would. Even in a year, I've seen so much development in myself, and I feel like if I didn't have the placement, I wouldn't be this confident.
They treat me as an equal. I don't feel like I'm treated as a child, and I think that's really like liberating for me. I feel empowered by the fact that I'm no longer a student, I'm an employee.
They can teach you stuff that they've grown up with, and I think that's good. On the practical side, when you're working, they can give you tips on how they've done it. I think when you get here, it's definitely something to consider because it opens so many avenues in the future.
In college, I understand more things because I have already seen them, so I understand how this business works.
So I feel like it was actually kind of like a big impact on me to do the placement because I was kind of indecisive in the beginning, but then after I did it, I kind of knew who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and I would definitely do it again if I had a chance.
You need experience. It might be 45 days, it might seem a bit long, you don't get paid for it, but the opportunities that come from that are well worth it.
With it on your CV, you're more likely to get a job over someone else who hasn't got industry placement, so it's like an amazing opportunity as well, and you can make connections with different people, so definitely do it if you get the opportunity to.
So as you can see, students would be putting the knowledge that they're learning in the classroom straight into practice through the industry placement, learning from industry experts and developing their confidence in the workplace. And even if the student does decide at the end of the T-level that isn't for them, they would still have had lots of experience that they can make use of and talk about, which is really great and really useful. In terms of where you can find, how you can find out which local providers are providing T-levels in your area, as they are new, it's not as many schools and colleges that offer T-levels as do A-levels or BTECs, but more and more are offering them. If you are to go onto the website, as you can see, www.tlevels.gov.uk, there is a find your nearest T-level search tool. So on there you can find out which local providers are offering T-levels and which ones they are offering. In terms of applying for T-levels, the student would be applying directly to the provider using the information found on the website I just mentioned. Each T-level provider will have their own application process and also their own grade requirements, but it's likely that the timeline would be similar to kind of applying for college, so September to December, having a look for local T-level providers, January to March time, making your applications, April to July time, undertaking any assessments required, August having their place confirmed, and then starting their T-level in September. I don't know if I mentioned, but it is a 2-year course, just like doing A-levels or BTECs as well. And just like I say, there's tlevels.gov. On that website would have some of the kind of information I covered today, as well as the tool where you can find your nearest providers. Amazing Apprenticeships and National Careers Service as well would have other information on T-levels. But that brings me to the end of my talk. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I will stop sharing my screen now. So if there are any questions, please put them in the chat box, or Christina can unmute you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, so I've just unmuted or given everyone the kind of permission that they can unmute themselves now if they want to So if there are any questions, yeah, please do just either pop them in the chat or you can ask them openly here. I also wanted just to share with everyone that we will be at Cannons delivering a digital T-level from September 2022. September 2023. So it's a really exciting opportunity for students who are interested in a kind of digital or technology-based pathway. More information I can send out after this session, just in terms of who we're partnering with. We've already partnered with several local employers. So yeah, I can send out more information about that. But if there are any questions, please do let us know. I think you must have, oh, there we go. We've got one from Ruth.
Yeah, I just want to know, before you can do T-level, you need to finish secondary school, or you need to, after secondary school, can you do it?
Yeah, oh, sorry, yes. So it's like A-levels or BTECs, it's something that you do after GCSEs, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
So if there's no other questions, next week Anise will be back and she'll be talking about apprenticeships and be able to give information about the different options with regards to apprenticeships. But if there are no questions today, then thank you very much, Anise. I will send out the information about the Cannons Digital T-level in addition to some information just about T-levels generically as well. But thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you all. Have a lovely
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye. Thank you.